Okay, I've always been curious about this, but did you ever get cold feet for our wedding? I mean, why do they call it cold feet? I'm gonna look this up.
Like one time?
Excuse me?
Hello, everyone. I'm David.
And I'm Jay Brandon, and this is
Husbantr,
the podcast where we talk about careers, relationships, and some life lessons we picked up along the way.
But from the point of view of two queer married men of color.
Please note, we are not professional lawyers, doctors, therapists, life coaches.
But sometimes the lessons you learn from your friends are the ones that end up sticking, so stick with us.
Husbantr is genuinely a space for anyone that wants to gain insight from a different perspective.
And that includes you.
Okay, so before we get into why somebody had cold feet, let's get into
Word of the Gay.
Today's word of the gay is...
girl, but spelled with a U.
Girl is oftentimes used as a term of endearment between two gay men or a form of bonding between a gay man and a heterosexual woman. Today's word of the gay was brought to you by Glitter, because I love it. Not the album, though.
No.
The sparkly stuff.
Never the album.
In today's episode, we are going to dig into exactly why we thought it was important to get married.
Yeah, I mean, there was so many reasons, but legality, right? Protection as well. I mean, obviously love.
Yeah, that was a big part of it, but we were scared and we were nervous for a lot of reasons. And really, at the end of the day, you're the person that I trust the most in the world. You're the person that knows me better than anyone else. So, like, I needed you to be able to make decisions on my behalf.
Yeah, and you know, and that makes me think of when I broke my leg. And you know, we talked about it slightly before in a previous episode, but I broke my leg. We were in Vermont, went to the hospital, and we were with our friend Lindsay. And basically, when you had dropped us off right at the front of the hospital because you were driving the car and we were trying to get me in as soon as possible. We go inside and they start asking me all these questions and they're trying to make me fill out paperwork. But I had just broken my leg. So I was out of it. And they kept turning to Lindsay and going, well, you know, can you tell us his birthday? And just to preface this, we had just met Lindsay literally the day prior.
Yeah, we were on a group friend trip.
Right.
And Lindsay was a new friend we met on this trip.
Right. So she had no idea. She was like, oh, I don't know. But if you just wait a moment, his boyfriend is going to come in and he will be here. And I know he knows all these questions. And they were like, okay, so what's his social security number? And she was like, I just told you, I don't know, but his boyfriend will come in. And so, you know, I'm sitting there in the chair, like broken, all, you know, going crazy. And you came in.
And it was crazy to me because, again, we were in Vermont.
Right, Vermont.
It was at a time where Vermont was probably the first state to pass marriage equality, at least at the state level.
Yeah.
And I thought that we were in a progressive state. So I walk in, okay, what can I do? How do I help? And Lindsay explains that they were asking a lot of questions. I said, I'm ready to call your mom. Here's his social security number. Here's his birthday. Here's all the information. And they would not even look at me.
No, they literally kept going. Like you were like, oh, you know, I can give you the information. They went, ma'am.
Right.
And continued. And I remember also like when they were like, okay, it's time for you to go into the back. They wouldn't let you in the back.
Right. They asked Lindsay if I was allowed. I mean, the number of times that girl stood up and said, I don't know them. I'm just here to help.
I was like, girl, she has nothing to do with this. I mean, love Lindsay, but she was not our relationship, right? Obviously, she didn't know us. So it was kind of wild. And I started to realize sort of at that moment after, you know, going through this really crazy trauma that I needed to have someone,
who knew your social security number and your birthday.
All my things and my birthday and all that stuff, but also like that I could trust, you know? And I think that really started to make me think about like, okay, we are in a relationship, but I think we need to make this legal, right? But we couldn't at the time because it wasn't legal.
And we always agreed. We said that we wouldn't get married or even engaged until it was law of the land.
Right.
And it became even more solidified when I also had a hospital incident.
Right.
I had a car accident. The entire car was demolished. Only my seat was left.
This was truly I think, work of a higher power, of a guardian angel, of something. It was a little silver Honda Civic. And you were sitting in traffic, waiting to go across the George Washington, and a drunk driver came and rear-ended you.
Yep.
And y'all, when I went and saw the car, because I had to go collect what was left in there, I was floored. The entire car was upside down and crushed, except for the driver's seat.
Yep.
It was so crazy.
It was the only thing. And I am extremely claustrophobic.
Mm-hmm.
So I have trouble. I'm having trouble in this chair. But they had me strapped down to the bed because they were afraid I might have a neck injury, which was making me panic. And no one cared.
Right.
No one cared. Everyone was so mean. And you got there.
Yeah, because I was working on like a small independent film
Right.
at the time. And I remember literally we were wrapping the last scene and I get a phone call and I was like, oh, why is he calling? Because normally if I'm working, you don't call me because you know that I can't, answer. But I was like, something's going on. So I answered and you were like, I got into a car accident. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, I'm coming. And so I just booked it straight to the hospital.
And you got there. My family was there, my parents, my sister. And I was freaking out because I was strapped down. I was so scared. They were at the time about to take me for tests.
Yeah.
And I insisted that you come with me and they wouldn't let you come
Nope.
because we weren't married.
Well, because they literally were like, sorry, unless it's a spouse or next of kin, you would, they would not let me go in the back. Which again made me go, we need to have our relationship recognized beyond just us, And so then that really kind of like sent me down. I mean, we did wait a little while, obviously, because we had to wait for it to be legalized.
Right. And we had a lot of conversations, a lot when we started having conversations about getting married and engaged. A lot of these conversations were around, well, who will we be as a married couple? What were some of the examples that we had in our own lives that will either help or hinder us as a married couple?
I think that you have a beautiful example of what marriage is and what it could be in your parents. And I didn't. I mean, my parents really honestly got divorced before I was born. And then they got back together because I was being born. It
was nice of them.
It was nice of them, right? I mean, hey, thanks universe, because otherwise I would not be here. But when I was about 10, turning 11-ish, that's when my parents decided that it was like officially over. And so, I really didn't understand marriage. I didn't understand what that partnership was. So, I didn't know how it was going to color my experience of like stepping into our relationship. I knew from a young age, like I've said before, I honestly truly knew inside in my soul of souls that I was going to be with you. I really did from a very young age, but I just didn't know how my sort of lack of representation of what a positive marriage was going to color how I would step into a relationship with you. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. For me, on the flip side, thank you. I also agree that my parents have a beautiful love story. A couple things that did for me is it kind of made it sort of unattainable. And it was already unattainable for me as a queer person because I always thought I was going to marry a woman and really, quite frankly, just be miserable for the rest of my life.
That's no life. That's not good.
So when I came out and the possibility of having a life partner and someone that I actually love was presented to me, I was like, is this possible? What does this look like? And now how do I put this, I do this in my life all the time, but just put this extra amount of pressure. Like, how do I match the energy that my parents give to each other?
Right. I get what you're saying.
And my dad did this one thing once. My grandmother passed away, his mother. And my mother and his mother did not have the best relationship. To be quite honest, my grandmother really wasn't very nice to my mother. And when my grandmother passed away, my parents went to the funeral in Puerto Rico. And because my grandmother wasn't very nice to my mother, my grandmother's family wasn't very nice to my mother. But my dad loves my mother so fiercely and watched out for her and always wanted to take care of her. And my Aunt Anna was there with them, and she told me a story about my dad, that my mom has trouble seeing, my mom has mobility issues, and my dad the whole time was very concerned the whole trip. Make sure someone's watching Rosa because he was busy doing things for his mother's funeral.
Right, right.
Make sure someone's watching Rosa. Make sure someone's with her. As they're carrying my grandmother's casket, my father, one of the pallbearers out to church, my father notices that my mother is left behind and somehow separated from my aunt and he didn't want her to be alone.
Right.
So he literally grabbed someone out of a pew and pulled them over to take his spot as a pallbearer for his mother to go take my mother, who was his priority.
Oof.
And to me, that's so beautiful because it really showed me what the possibility of love was.
Mm-hmm.
And I, not because we're on a podcast, not because you're sitting directly in front of me, 100% true. I would do the same for you.
I would 100% do the same for you. I think, you know, and I talked a little bit about this in the episode where, you know, like talking about my dad and stuff. And I think seeing not great examples of marriage also made me want to go, I can do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that I can get into this and really make it positive, make it a great thing. And so, you know, I think like stepping into our relationship, I really thought about, you know, like taking care, the things that I could do as a spouse. What would be nice? You know, what could I do to like brighten your day every day? You know, just like little things here and there. And
girl, when you clean that kitchen, girl, oh, when I come home, that kitchen is clean.
Listen, I know what gets you going. But you know, I think that it really ended up making me look at marriage as something very serious. I think that around us, and I'll be very frank about this, I think a lot of people abuse what marriage is. We see a lot of, you know, heterosexual couples like jump into things and just get married. That's not to say everybody, obviously. I'm just saying like it happens. People, you know, get married, then the next day they get it annulled and blah, 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 all this other stuff.
Right. Brittany.
Brittany. And to me, it was just like, that's not an option. To me, like, I don't want to start something that I'm going to fail at.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I need to really sit down and make this make sense and really go for it because it's only once for me.
And I will tell you, and I've said this to you before, and I will say it, scream it from the rooftops. When we were getting married that day, yes, was the most special day, my favorite day on the planet.
Literally, favorite day.
I'm sure other couples say the same thing. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But from my experience, I was sitting in that hotel room. My friends are in the living room getting ready, and I would randomly go into the bedroom and just take a deep breath, not out of fear, not out of cold feet. We'll talk about cold feet, but I did not have cold feet the day of the wedding. It was the exact opposite. I would take a deep breath because I wanted to make sure I soaked it in because I knew the way that you say you knew about us. I knew in that moment that I would never have this experience again with anyone else. And that if for some reason the universe decided to separate us, that no one could ever step into those shoes, that I could never have that day with anyone else.
No. You know, and before we got married, people would talk about all the time, like, oh, you know, like with people who had been previously married, let's say. And it was always no, I could never get married. Some people would be like, yeah, no, totally, whatever. But I just didn't understand, like, well, it's marriage, like, whatever. But then I really understood when I was thinking about it in a much deeper level of like what it means. It's not just the next step in a relationship, right?
Right.
It's not just, hey, we met, we started dating, now we're going steady, we're monogamous, and the next thing is marriage. For me, it was, we were together, y'all, we were together for 11 years before we got engaged. Okay. 11 years. And a lot of people were like, what's taking you so long and all that stuff. One, I couldn't afford an engagement ring.
And look, I was an incredible boyfriend.
You were.
And future fiance and even better husband, because I was like, I don't care. You can go anywhere and get me and I would send him rings that were like $100. I was like, I'll take it.
Y'all, but I know him too well. You weren't going to settle.
I mean, Tiffany's is a lot better than $100.
I know. But yeah, I really thought about that. And it really was like, I want to make sure I'm making a leap, but I know that there's footing there.
Mhm.
I know that sounds crazy, because like taking a leap is a leap of faith. But I didn't think jumping.
But we were
in-
holding hands when we took that leap.
That's
the
it.
thing.
That's it.
We took the leap together.
That's it right there.
We took the leap together.
Yeah. Okay. So you've said cold feet a couple of times. Now I need to understand what that means. Like, what do you mean cold? Like, you were like, I don't want to get married.
No,
you were
that's it,
about to go on a trip. You're gonna run away.
It wasn't. No. No. So.
Oh my God! With one of my brides people, Leo.
No.
And I'm just kidding.
Leo, I have a confession to make. I'm in love.
Oh boy.
He's gonna be so weirded out by that.
I know.
No, it was actually the day you proposed, which
Hold-
is crazy because
no.
I was the person in our relationship who was most concerned with getting engaged. I was worried about age. I was like, all of our friends are engaged.
Right.
Everyone's starting to get married. We've been together the longest. What is taking us so long? And then you proposed.
Right. But okay, I'm just gonna set the scene just because I need to understand what.
Set
Okay.
the scene. It's a beautiful scene.
All right. So picture it: Bethesda Fountain, New York City,
Central Park.
Central Park. Your favorite place in the world. Because if y'all haven't gone, please do. When you step into that area, it's like you're in a bubble. It's so cool. You can see the city around you, but you can't hear it.
You can't.
And it's so serene and so beautiful. So I had reached out. Now, I am also a self-proclaimed not great event planner. That's not what I do. I show up and I'm happy. And I'm a good host. I can host, but I'm not a great planner in that regard. But anyways, I reached out to your best friend. I reached out to a bunch of people, family, and I convinced a group of people to come to the Bethesda Fountain. I couldn't speak. Come to Bethesda Fountain. And we were going to almost kind of flash mob you. And so the way that I got him to the park without him understanding, and because we were living in Jersey, so it was like a trek for us to get to the park. I told him that our friend Sarah Raver, hi Sarah, had a fancy picnic basket from Japan, which if you know Sarah Raver, you know that that's not far-fetched.
Right.
Like that's something that she would actually do. And so I was like, she's going to meet us with this picnic. It's themed. It's upscale bitches who brunch. That was the theme, y'all.
I love a theme, but I was very tired.
Right. And
that
so all
weekend.
night, the night before, I was like putting on all these different outfits. I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'll just throw it on together the day of. And I was so surprised.
I regret it to this day.
Yeah, I know he does. So we get to Central Park. The entire time we're going, Sarah ends up meeting us. And she's like, hey guys, oh my gosh, oh look, there's Amber with the picnic set. And so she just walks away. And I was like, oh no, where is everyone? Because everyone, I gave them a time, I gave them the place. I didn't see anybody, but everyone was kind of hidden and tucked back behind a set of steps. And when I did see everyone, I said, oh, okay, here's the moment. So I turn to you and I say, well, dear.
And this was where I got the cold feet.
Okay.
In that exact moment, because I will tell you, though I had no idea, clearly I was not willing to put on an outfit, which if I had a clue, I would have put together the cutest outfit. But I had zero
that's
clue.
So rude of me. I'm like, but you didn't.
I didn't. It really wasn't great.
It was fine. You were wearing a denim button down with
fine.
shorts and some dress shoes.
It wasn't great.
It was cute.
It wasn't great.
We have
Anyway.
video. We'll post it.
Ooh, we'll
post
find
it.
the video and post it on
Yeah,
social.
We'll post it.
But for some reason, I had my back to you when you said, well, dear.
Yes.
I knew in that exact moment what was happening.
Oh.
I knew immediately, and the first place my mind went, my mother. I said, I am in so much trouble.
Not in
because if you watched the
Sure.
previous episodes,
You would know.
that
At
I
that
came out to my
time.
mother 8 times, and this engagement was the 8th.
Now hearing that, I can understand. Especially because, when you did turn around, it wasn't just me on my knee. It was my
everyone.
mom and Carrie and everybody.
And your mom was so excited that she ran in front of you.
A little bit.
Ran into my face and was
She's
like,
like, hey.
I'm here, son.
Oh my gosh. So I can understand that shock factor as to why you'd be like, ooh.
But then I immediately was like, screw everyone else and anyone's opinion. Sorry, family.
I mean, I wouldn't say immediately because I remember specifically you kept backing up and we were like, come here, come
what was
here.
I saying? I was saying, oh my God.
You were like,
God,
oh my God. Oh my God. And I was like, get over here. Where are you going? Okay, so I can understand the little cold feet there, but not actually cold feet as like you were marrying me.
No, it was just,
got it.
I was afraid of my mother.
I think that is the funniest thing.
It's a theme in my life.
It is.
I am Latino, so we're all afraid of our mothers.
And Catholic guilt.
And Catholic guilt.
All right, y'all. No, you know what time it is. It is Husbantr Hot Takes, the section of the show where we ask each other quick little quippy questions to understand who we are on a deeper level.
Yes.
You got the first one?
I'm going to take the first one.
Okay.
We were just talking about marriage and our wedding.
Yes.
If there was one thing you could redo at our wedding.
Florals.
Oh.
Florals. I mean, honestly, the florals we had at the altar were beautiful. Mm-hmm. They were large. They were lush. They were the colors of our wedding. It was everything we could have ever dreamed of. But that didn't trickle into the space. Yeah. And not one person talks to us about the florals today, but it's one of those things that haunts me in my mind.
I 100% agree with you. Mm-hmm. No one does care about the florals at the end of the day.
At all. If you're planning a wedding out there, don't care about your florals.
Yeah. For me, it was the cake.
Oh.
The cake, we had to redo that cake.
I'm going to change my answer to the cake.
The cake was...
Yeah.
It was tasted great.
Yeah, it was good. We had a peanut butter and jelly cake. Yeah. It was interesting. But it looked like an old TV. Everybody had cupcakes with remotes on it.
Our cupcakes were cute. Our cupcakes had old Zenith remotes on them.
Yeah, that was really cute. Yeah, TV themed, y'all.
Yeah.
Out of control. What would you say is the pettiest thing you've ever judged someone for?
Oh, easy. Shoes.
Oh my God. Listen, friends, don't let friends buy Crocs. I said it. I'm sticking to it.
It's true. It's true. Crocs are a sin. Mm-hmm. What is one fashion trend that haunts you? Something that you probably fell into and you're like, oh.
Ooh, I would probably say skinny jeans.
Oh.
Skinny jeans.
Not slim, skinny.
No, not slim fit. I'm talking skinny, like skin tight, like those spray-on jeans.
Yeah.
Remember when they had spray-on jeans?
Everyone looked knock-kneed.
Knock-kneed.
Everyone looked knock-kneed.
Knickerbocker sock.
Mine would have to be, oh God, I hate to admit this because you never let me live it down and you weren't even there the one day that I wore them.
I know.
Gladiator sandals.
Listen, those strappy numbers, get them out of my face. Gladiators, I call them gladi-haters.
You're a gladi-hater. I mean, I am one too, actually.
Okay, what gives you the ick?
Oh, easy. When people eat gross. Oh. I don't understand it.
Like misophonia, when like you like hear it.
The hearing, but also the visual and the touching. All of the senses. I don't understand why some people feel the need. Look, if you can't see this if you're listening to the podcast, but pretend there's a plate of French fries.
Use your descriptive words.
I am going to take two of my fingers, my pointer and my thumb.
Yes.
I'm going to slowly approach the plate. I'm going to pick up one French fry. And I'm going to then either dip it or insert it into my mouth and chew with my mouth closed with minimal noise. Okay. I don't understand when someone says, instead of these two fingers, they use the claw like they're going into one of the machines to get a stuffed animal.
Yep.
And they dig into the whole plate. They shake it about a little bit. Then they go what I like to call knuckle deep, meaning they take their full fist of French fries and they stick it down their throat and they come out with their spitty hand and they go back with the claw into the plate. Why do you have to do that?
No,
Clearly,
thank you.
This not only gives me the ick, it gives me the anger.
Ooh, not the anger.
I'm so mad.
Oh my gosh.
I'm mad now.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that is super, super icky. I would say for me, it's a little bit more ethereal, but when people are unkind.
Shut up.
No,
I get it though.
You get it. Like it really gives me the ick when someone just naturally likes to be mean.
Oh, we've run into a couple people.
There's a couple people like that.
Even recently.
Yes. And I'm just like, no, you must be upset.
It takes so much energy to be
mean. It really
mean.
Does. It's so easy to be nice.
It's so easy to be nice.
Just be nice.
Just be nice. Or don't say anything at all.
Exactly.
Okay. You know I love reality TV, so I want to ask, if I were to be on a reality TV show, what show would I get kicked off first?
Oh, American Idol.
Oh, wow.
Survivor. RuPaul's Drag Race.
What?
Definitely. I mean, there's so many. I could keep. You want me to keep going? Okay, so he said celebrities. Maybe. Oh,
Well, you know what? I'm going to just
what?
end this conversation because you would win on the traders as a trader. And I think that says everything.
This was really great to have this conversation, you know, to really understand why we got married and what were like the choices leading up to that.
Yeah, I agree. And I hope that for anyone listening who might be having the thought of marriage, who they're in a relationship and one person is waiting for the other person to get down on one knee and ask that question, I hope that they realize that, yes, romance is
a
incredible.
Big part of it.
It's a big part of it. Love is a big part of it. You surprised me, clearly. I had no idea.
But we talked about it.
For years.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with talking about it. You should talk about it. You should have a plan.
Right. You have a plan in place. And honestly, like when you are having that conversation, first of all, if you can't have the conversation, you're not ready to get married.
Correct.
That's first and foremost. But if you're having that conversation and let's say the other person is like, I'm not ready for marriage, it's okay.
Right.
It doesn't mean they don't want to be with you. It just means that they need a little bit more time.
Yeah. And for us, we quickly landed through these conversations on why it was important to us. And it, in some ways, expedited it. I say that I laugh because it was 11 years.
Right. We're together
but
forever.
We knew that the legality around our protections
was very important.
Was so important. Yes, love, absolutely love.
Right.
But there were so many concrete things that we needed to make sure that we were always, in the eyes of everyone, each other's number one. Well, we talked a lot today about why we got married, which was a huge step in our relationship. And next week, we're going to talk about a major decision we made.
Yeah, because I mean, around the time we were getting married, everyone was getting married.
Yep.
Then everyone started having kids, and we decided not to.
So we're going to dig in next week into all the reasons why we decided that kids were not for us and how it's affected our relationship and the relationship we have with our friends, particularly those who do have kids.
Yeah.
Should be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But don't forget, follow us at Husbantr. That's Husbantr. You can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you name it.
Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We are on all the platforms. And also, if you want to hear something specific, if you want to get in on the banter, banter with us. You can DM us. You can send us a little message right on our website, husbantropodcast.com, on that little banter tab. We really want to hear from y'all. So it's exciting.
Yeah, we're excited because remember, life is better with a little banter.
And our theme song is Snap Bracelet by Brain Tan. You can check them out on Instagram at brain__tan.